8, verse 32, it asks this question, and this is a question that I'll start our meeting off today with, that I'd like you to think about. Take it into your day, meditate on it, and see what comes out of it. It says, "He who did not spare his own son, but delivered him up for us all, how shall he not with him also freely give us all things?" In other words, if he's given us his biggest and his best, why would he not give us anything else that is so far less? And it's a profound question. I mean, if he gave you Jesus, why would he not give you anything else that you needed? It's so far less. And that verse, let's read it in a couple other translations. This is the Message version. It says, if God didn't hesitate to put everything on the line for us, embracing our condition and exposing himself to the worst by sending his own son, is there anything else he wouldn't gladly and freely do for us? Powerful. The Complete Jewish Bible says, "He who did not spare even his own son, but gave him up on behalf of us all, is it possible that having given us his son, he would not give us everything else too?" I mean, that's a profound question. Anytime we stagger at the idea that God may not give us what we need, or give us anything else that he's promised and provided, it's an impossibility from his perspective. If he's already given us Jesus, why would he give us anything else that we need? That's a great way of looking at it. This whole grace of giving teaching, it's based on a notion that crossed my mind. I've not gotten this out of a book. I'm not sure where it all began to, the genesis of it in my heart. But I had this notion, and this is the premise for where we're going today, that there's only one plumbing. There's only one set of plumbing. There's only one pipe that flows from God to us, and that's in us, and that flows out of us. There's only one set of plumbing, and if that gets crimped, gets plugged, or a cap gets put in it, it stops the grace of God from flowing in our lives. So for Jesus to really go after this whole thing of saying, you must forgive in order to be forgiven, that's the pipe. So the forgiveness that we receive comes down the pipe, but it also has to be extended to other people. And if we don't extend forgiveness to other people, it stops the flow of forgiveness to us, because there's only one pipe. And the pipe of giving financially is the same pipe that we have to receive the Holy Spirit, to receive the gifts of the Spirit. So if he can get us offended, get us bummed at the whole issue of money, and the enemy's working overtime to get that to happen, if he can offend us so that we shut down that part of giving without realizing it, next thing you know, it crimps the pipe and stops the flow of grace coming toward us. If he can get us to hate our spouse or shut down our heart from the love of God flowing out toward our spouse, it stops the flow of God, his love for us. It doesn't stop God from loving us. It stops the awareness, the flow, the refreshing part of his love. So this idea that we have to keep this giving going, it's as we give and as we extend that to other people, that we keep the flow freshly coming into our lives where we need it. If you want to feel encouraged by God, the best place to begin is start encouraging other people, and it opens up the pipe. Next thing you know, God keeps supplying fresh encouragement through you, and you get to taste it on the way through. And it just keeps the grace of God flowing. So that flow that we described last night, that the Father gave to the Son gave to us, and we need to keep it going. That cycle of giving, that's what the enemy wants to stop if he can. I met a lady not too long ago. I had asked people in a church service if they would come forward. If you haven't felt God's love in a long time, you haven't felt his presence in a long time. Come forward. I love praying for those people, and I feel like God gives me like jumper cables that can get their heart going again. And so the first guy that came forward, I laid hands on him, and he started to shake. He started to tremble. I went to the next guy, laid hands on him. He fell down, and went to the next guy, laid hands on him. He begins to shake, begins to cry. They start feeling something. Then I came to this little lady. I put my hand on her, and there's nothing. It's like someone flipped the switch, and the power went off. And I thought, well, maybe, you first thing you blame yourself. And I thought, well, maybe I've gotten distracted. My mind has gone off, my motives have switched, or something has happened. And so you just kind of think, well, I wonder what I did to shut that off. So then I went to the next person, and it was right back on again. That man, he was starting to be impacted by the presence of the Lord, by the glory of the Lord. Prayed for another person, same thing happened. So I went back to the little lady. And I said, Lord, help me. Something just shut that right off. Help me to understand what's happening. Show me what it is. And this idea came to my mind, so I spoke it out, and I said, are there people in your life these days that you just cannot forgive? And she said, there might. She was just so hard and so shut. There might. So I called over another gal, and I said, take her aside and get her to flush her heart with forgiveness. And it was astounding to me because it stopped the flow of everything. And it wasn't God stopping it. It's not like he said, oh, they're not forgiven, I'll turn it off. We stop the flow. It crimps our pipe from receiving. It crimps our pipe from giving. And the enemy just wants to do that. That's part of his work, part of his agendas. He wants to cut us off from the grace of God.